Welcome to Hoosier Sports Night with Chris Hopper. I'm Andy Tucholsky.
Now the Final Four is set and basketball season is about to come to an end, but we aren't ready to let it go just yet. We have a lot of coverage of Indiana Hoosier basketball on this edition of Hoosier Sports Night.
After a long season, only 4 teams are still playing college basketball, and unfortunately, our Hoosiers are not among them. But this season was nothing to be disappointed about. Let's take a look back at the year in review for IU basketball. The season started outside the conference with big games versus Butler, Duke, and Kentucky. For more on that, we'll go to Hoosier Sports Night reporter Ronan O'Shea.
Coach Kelvin Sampson's first 2 months at the helm of the Indiana basketball team was marred with inconsistency. After an opening night 91-66 drubbing of Lafayette, the Hoosiers dropped to Butler in the second round of the preseason NIT, losing any hope of a Thanksgiving trip to New York.
We turned it over, fouled them, just didn't play smart enough. We got to play smarter with the lead.
And the Hoosiers would play smarter as they returned to Assembly Hall to win 2 straight, setting up a November 28 matchup at Duke as part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Despite a valiant effort from Eric Sewer and Armand Bassett, the Hoosiers lost 54-51, dropping to 4-2 on the year. But again, Indiana would respond with consecutive wins at home before a trip to Lexington, Kentucky for a date with the Wildcats. DJ White's double-double was not enough as Tubby Smith beat his friend 59-54, leaving Sampson to vent about his team's woes away from home.
Went on the road. We did 2 of the 3 things you've got to do. You got to defend, you got to rebound, you got to make shots. I thought we defended okay, probably good enough to win. And I thought we rebounded well enough to win. But got to make shots.
The Hoosiers would win their final 4 games of the non-conference schedule, including a 57-47 gritty win over Southern Illinois. Indiana concluded the non-conference schedule with a 9-3 mark and a date with Ohio State on the horizon. Reporting with the Hoosiers, I'm Ronan O'Shea, Hoosier Sports Night.
The Hoosiers then began conference play and they would be tested immediately as they traveled to Ohio State. A 7-point loss to a future Final Four team was disappointing, but brought hope. IU then ran off 5 wins in a row, with the 5th coming in a non-conference matchup against UConn that in past years had dominated the Hoosiers. Key home wins over Wisconsin, Illinois, and Penn State capped off a 3rd-place Big Ten finish with a 10-6 record, despite their woes away from Assembly Hall. For more, we once again go to Ronan O'Shea.
After an opening night loss at Ohio State, Indiana returned to Bloomington with a vengeance, blowing out Michigan State and Purdue en route to 5 straight victories and a position in the top tier of the Big Ten. They would go on the road to rival Illinois on January 23rd, and with Coach Kelvin Sampson under great scrutiny, play sloppy basketball, losing 51-43 to the Illini in Champaign. A return trip to Assembly Hall, an easy win over Michigan, put Indiana at 5-2 in the Big Ten, with number 2 Wisconsin coming to town. And on an unforgettable night at Assembly Hall, A.J. Ratliff's 20 points off the bench complemented DJ White's 16 as Indiana knocked off Wisconsin 71-66, sparking Hoosier fans to storm the court. And after the game, it was clear that this one will always be remembered.
It was fun, great college atmosphere.
Yeah,
like, that's a memory you remember for the rest of your life. You know, our seniors, I know they'll remember that for the rest of their lives. Something you can tell your kids, later in life. So it's just a great experience.
You get old enough in this profession, as to things like tonight, watching our students' faces as they rush to court, and our kids in the locker room, how ecstatic they were. Tomorrow I'll get them back down to earth, but tonight I'm going to let them enjoy it.
With the win, Indiana would be in contention for the Big Ten crown, but February would bring 5 of 7 games for the Hoosiers away from Assembly Hall, and it showed. Losses at Iowa, Purdue, and Michigan mounted before a collapse in the second half at Michigan State sparked Roderick Wilmot to vent about IU's inability to play 40 solid minutes away from home.
We need to go out there with the mindset, put 2 halves together, because, we're totally 2 different teams from the first half of the Michigan State game to the second half. And if we could put the first half that we had together in 2 halves, we I mean, everything else will take care of itself.
But Wilmot got hot, hitting a record 9 3-pointers in a win at Northwestern before closing out the Big Ten regular season with a 94-63 drubbing of Penn State. Indiana would say farewell to seniors Eric Sewer, Roderick Wilmot, and Earl Calloway, who paced Indiana to a 20-10 overall record with a 10-6 mark in conference play. Indiana would finish third in the Big Ten and complete their first undefeated season at home since 1993-1994. Up next would be the Big Ten tournament in Chicago and a rematch with a familiar rival. Reporting with the Hoosiers, I'm Ronan O'Shea, Hoosier Sports Night.